Hello everyone, my name is Mohit and I welcome you all to my YouTube channel. I hope you all are doing great. As per the audience request, I'm starting a new playlist on PySpark challenges where I'll be discussing frequently asked interview questions on PySpark and also I'll be covering important concept that we generally use in our real-time project related to PySpark. Okay. So this playlist is basically similar to what I have created on SQL challenges. There also I covered all the important concepts starting from basic to advanced. Here also I'll try to cover all the important questions and concepts related to PySpark from basic to advanced level. Okay. So this is part one of this playlist where we will discuss how we can create a PySpark data frame manually and how we can verify the schema data types. Okay. So here if you see, we have sample data in terms of list. This sample data consists of list of tuple. So each tuple you can consider it as a row of a table. Okay. And we also have schema given. So first column name is ID, second is name. So this is the list of schema. So ID corresponds to this first value of a tuple and name corresponds to a second value of tuple. Okay. So before we start how we can create a data frame using this sample data and given schema and how we can check schema data type, I would like to discuss few commands which are related to it. Okay. So if you see here, I have written type and a string is given. So if you run this command, it will give output as str. That means it is a string type. Similarly, if you give integer and run this command type 1, then it will output integer, int, which means this is a integer data type. Similarly, we have a keyword called spark, and if you run this command, then it will output this one, which means this is an object of Spark session. So if you don't have idea about Spark session, don't worry. Just have a basic understanding that this Spark session is required in order to run your command or in order to execute your code. Okay. So when you run this command, it will give you this output pyspark.sql.session.sparksession, which means this is an object of Spark session. So we can use this object to get the required output. How we can exactly do it, we will discuss very soon. Now next command is if you run this one, since we know that Spark is an object of Spark session and create data frame is one of the function of this object. So let's say if we want to check the details about this function and by detail I mean what is the parameter required and by providing this parameter what type of output we will get and if that output matches our requirement we are good to use this function, right? So since I already know that we can use create data frame function of this Spark object to achieve our required output. Okay. But let's say I also want to know the detail about this function, then you can run this command like help and inside this you can write spark dot create data frame and it will give you all the details like what kind of parameter it will accept and what kind of output you will get if you are using this create data frame function. So similarly, if you want to check details of any other function, you can use this help command. Okay. And you can easily go through that documentation. You will get clear cut idea how exactly you have to use this function. So don't worry, I'll show you how these things will look like and then you will get much clear picture of it. Okay. So let's say if I'm writing this type and this is 1 means we are providing integer. So what it will output? Let me run this command. See, it's an integer type. Similarly, if I want to check the type of this one, it is string type. Okay. Now let me run this command. Type of Spark. So we have already discussed what is it. This is an object of Spark session. So let us verify this. So if you run it, it will output pyspark.sql.session.spark session. And just to have a basic understanding, consider this Spark session as something mandatory in order to run any command or in order to execute your code. Okay. Now, we were also discussing about this create data frame, right? So this is one of the function of this object. Let me do one thing. Let me remove it and write help spark dot. As soon as you write create, the intelligence will provide you the function name here. And you can just press tab and it will autofill. Okay. So this is spark.create data frame and I want to see its detail, what exactly this function is. So let me run this command. So it has provided us a very nice documentation. You can of course go through it, but here I want to point out few things. First is see the parameters. Inside this create data frame, we have a parameter called data, and this parameter is nothing but our sample data that we are going to pass. And again, we have another parameter called schema. So using this parameter, you can pass your schema. And in our case, this is the list of field that we are going to pass. And this is data that we are going to use. This data is basically the list of tuple, comma separated value. And each tuple you can consider it as a row of a table. Okay. So these two value will create a row. These two value will create another row. These two value will create third row. This will create fourth and this will create fifth row. And this particular data frame will have two column. This is first column. This is second column. So here we are passing column name directly, right? But there are also multiple ways in order to pass or in order to create our schema that I'm going to discuss in our future video. But as of now, we can use this list of columns and this value we will pass using this parameter which is schema. Okay. So majorly we are going to use these two parameter in this video. I would also like you to focus on this parameter which is verify schema and its default value is true. So what does this exactly mean? We can only understand once we are done with data frame creation. So let us quickly create our data frame where we will use this test data and this test schema for the list of columns. Okay. So here we have used Spark, which is an object, and we have already seen that create data frame is a function of this object where we can pass several parameters. One of its parameter is data, where you can pass your data, and another parameter which we discussed was schema, where you can pass your list of columns. So again, let me do one thing. We will write Spark dot create data frame, and here we will write data equals what value we are going to provide as data, this test data, right? So if you go down, data equals test data, and second parameter which we want to pass is schema, right? And what is the value of schema? This one, test schema. So we will write test underscore schema. This will create a data frame. So we will name this data frame as df. And in order to view the content of data frame, we can use df dot show. So this is exactly what we have written here also. So let me quickly run this command. Okay, so before that, I need to run all the above cells. Let me run this cell. Let me run this also. Now the value are initialized, right? Now we can run this cell and it will create us data frame using this test data as a value and test schema as column name. You can see here, right? It has created us data frame. You can also view this in a tabular format. So for that, what we need to do is we can use display and inside this we can pass data frame name. Now if you run this, see how beautifully it has created data frame with column name as ID, second column name as name. And if you observe carefully, beside this column name, 1, 2, 3, it is written. That means it is something related to integer. Beside this column, second column name, ABC is written. That means it is something related to alphabets or string, right? So basically we are trying to infer the schema. What is the data type for this schema? What is the data type for this schema, right? So in order to know this, Let's say you want to verify the data type of schema, whether it's an integer or string, or there are other data types also like array, long, float, etc. Okay. So in order to check the schema, what we can do, write your data frame. In our case, it is df. And there is a method of PySpark Dataframe which is print. See, as soon as you write print, the intelligence will give you complete keyword. So this print schema is a method of this data frame, PySpark data frame, by using which you can check or you can infer the schema of a data frame. Okay. So if you run this one, this ID is long, this name is string, right? But someone can ask you one question here that although we have not provided these details while creating data frame, how it got to know that this is the data type for ID column, this is the data type for this name, how it got to know. So if we scroll up, while checking this document, I was mentioning this schema, verify schema, and default value is true. That means if you don't pass this value explicitly, it will automatically check or infer the schema and will output result similar to this. And you can easily verify the schema from here. Okay. So this is the beauty of this parameter. So of course we can control these things if we use struct type and struct field for schema creation that we are going to discuss in our upcoming video. So you can manually pass these like data types for every column. So instead of long, you wanted it to be integer, you can mention there. But here, since we have not provided any such information, and by default, the value for this parameter is true, it has automatically inferred the schema, and it has like told us that yeah, for this ID column, data type is long, and this is string data type. Okay, so we can check this using print schema. That is the most important thing what we have to remember. Okay, so these things we will like use very frequently in our future video. Of course, you will not able to forget this, but yes, as of now, we learned that using print schema, we can check schema data type. Okay, so in this slide, we have shown how we can create data frame using spark.create data frame, and the exact thing we have discussed in a very great detail. Correct. So using this spark.create data frame and providing input to the proper parameter, we can create data frame. Now, second thing that we discussed was how we can verify the schema data type. So using print schema, your data frame name dot print schema will provide you this information that what is the data type of every field. Okay. So this is one of the very common question, a very basic but very frequently asked question in interview. So I request you to please keep this point in mind that using print schema, you can infer the schema of a data frame. Okay. Okay, then that's it guys for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you have enjoyed this content, then please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And please make sure to hit the bell icon to receive the notifications about the new video update. We will meet in our next video with a new and a very standard questions and concept. So please stay tuned. Till then, take care and goodbye.